Hello to all who watch this video. I'm bunmey. Today we have a theory of Izuku, so get your popcorn ready. This is about to begin.
What if Arf had sent his son to Yua? Izuku's story by Mina, by Melissa by Mirko, the son of a villain. Theory Part 1. Currently Japan was in chaos, as we had learned that Arf, the biggest villain in Japan, had sent his only son to Yua. That left half of Japan with many questions, as it was implausible that the number one villain would send his own son to a hero academy. I have to clarify certain things. In this world, All Might's first battle against Arf was recorded. Because of that, now everyone knew who Arf was. Izuku enters Yua at the same age as his original version. With nothing else to say, let's continue. Izuku was a young white-haired boy with a look without showing what he really felt. Although if you were to ask them, I would answer, I would like to punch my father in the face for sending me this place. But then, to his mind came the image of his mother's face with a smile not at all friendly. And he read a slight shudder, for his mother was much scarier than the number one villain himself. He accepted his fate and simply decided to walk to the hero institution. Although he wasn't really a villain, he didn't want to be a hero either, for in his view, it was a waste of time. He preferred to live his life quietly, without bothering anyone. Izuku he had a nervous twitch in his eyebrow, as he didn't even take half a step towards the grand entrances of the O. A large crowd of reporters. About 10 journalists were pointing their microphones at him, and more than 20 cameras were recording him. Izuku, he cursed under his breath at his luck. Hello. Could you be so kind as to let me in, to his bad luck? They didn't let him pass, and asked him idiotic questions like, are you really Arfo's son? Are you a villain too? Have you hurt someone? Are you handsome? Do you have a partner? And if not, do you want to go out with me? The last question was funny to him, so he answered the flirtatious reporter, who asked that question. Izuku, he put on the sexiest voice he could. Unfortunately, I don't have a girlfriend. But what I'm looking for is someone fun and strong. He approaches the reporter and grabs her chin. Tell me miss your compliments on that. The apparently 20-year-old reporter blushed so much that she began to stammer. Izuku gave a slight laugh and took advantage of the distraction and entered the heroic institution, where he would be studying permanently. According to his mother, today would be his first day of classes, and from the information he could gather, his teacher would be Professor Eraserhead. Today would be practice tests to determine the student's potential. But since he really didn't give a shit, he got up late, walked slowly, and according to his mental clock, he would be an hour late. He gave a free laugh, as it was sure to annoy his teacher a lot. Just as he would have predicted, as soon as he entered the Yua, he was called to address by Nezu himself, being scolded lightly for being late. He just gave a slight laugh, bowed a little out of respect, and went to the practice yard, where the students and the teacher were. Shota Aizawa was not a happy teacher, as just a couple of days ago he was informed that the son of the biggest villain would be in his class. That gave him headaches and left him with hours of sleep. And now it turned out that the little brat hadn't even come near the Yua, and now he was late. Shota Aizawa, I guess you are Izuku Shigaraki. Now tell me, why were you late for your first day? Or believe me, I will expel you. Most of the students were surprised, as few of them bothered to watch the news, so very few knew who the white-haired boy who had just arrived was. Izuku's gaze, which was previously serene without showing anything, gave a slight smile. And everyone was surprised, for they did not know why he was smiling. He slowly approached his teacher, and, without anyone expecting it, moved his hand, and shook his mentor's hand. Izuku, you'd be doing me a big favor. I'll give you my number and record an audio message, saying that you're expelling me. Everyone's mouth dropped open, and they watched as Izuku with a rather happy smile gave him the cell phone, and was anxious for the teacher to record an audio saying that she was really expelling him. The teacher himself was incredulous at his new student's reaction, Was he seeing his idiot face? He thought to himself. But seeing the smile on his young apprentice's face, he apparently meant what he said, and now he didn't know what to do. Aizawa coughs falsely to get Izuku's attention, and everyone's attention in general. I'll let it go this time. Line up with your other companions, as we are about to begin the practical part of using your gift. Izuku, when he heard that, was a little saddened. Then he raised his men indifferently, for really, even if he was expelled, his mother would see a way to get him reinstated again. Aizawa, everyone to the front. Say your name and say your quirk, and then we'll start with the practical part. There are no major changes from the original anime. The only difference is Izuku and Melissa. Melissa, she had a somewhat nervous smile, as she was not good at public speaking. Hello. My name is Melissa Shield, and my gift is energy accumulation. It gives me an increase in my physical capabilities. Several were surprised, as they saw that it was a quite strong and versatile gift when it came to combat. Izuku stands in front of everyone with his serene look, although due to boredom, he gives a yawn that the teacher and some classmates felt somewhat offended by his disrespect. Izuku, uninterested, he spoke. My gift is something particular. I called it counter quirk. And since I don't trust any of you, well, it's not worth sharing my information either. So I hope you understand and don't mess around. Kotsuki, he shouted angrily. Who do you think you are? You're just a scum and the son of a dirty villain. So have more respect to talk to us, you filthy rat. Izuku paid no attention to him. On the contrary, he gave another yawn. That infuriated Kotsuki to no end, and he went on the attack, but in less than 3 seconds, he was defeated. Izuku simply lifted his leg, and with a simple swing hit Kotsuki's head, knocking him unconscious. It surprised Aizawa quite a bit, as he knew that Kotsuki was one of the strongest students, and being defeated easily left him quite surprised. Although thinking who his father was, he wasn't that surprised about the potential of that white-haired young man either. We'll move on to the ball-throwing part. They had all thrown, and had the same score as in the original story. Now it was Melissa's turn, and she was quite nervous, as she was still not in control of the gift that had been inherited to her. She was about to cast it and recklessly use her gift, but her teacher activated her gift. Her eyes turned red and deactivated Melissa's gift. That left Melissa herself shocked, and she wondered what had happened for her to activate her gift. Aizawa gives a severe look. Are you an idiot? If you keep activating your gift recklessly and get hurt on top of that, you'll just be useless to your classmates. So activate your gift properly, or I'll expel you right now. Those harsh and cruel, but true, words of her teacher hurt Melissa, because not long ago she had achieved that gift through a lot of effort. For all her life she had been ostracized and disowned for not having a gift. The fear of being useless and being rejected again came back to her mind, and made her start to hyperventilate. Tears were starting to fall from her eyes, her hands were shaking, her feet were also becoming paralyzed, and she was starting to lose her strength. He needed help. He didn't know what to do anymore. All Might, who was watching this from afar, wanted to go help his niece, but it would be very suspicious if he only went to help her, and they would connect the dots that she and he had a connection, and that couldn't be allowed, or at least not now. Izuku cursed himself under his breath, his heroic side, or as he liked to say, his side that he got from his mother, was starting to make him act on his own. He was starting to reach out to someone who needed him. He could hear Melissa crying. He could hear the girl's cries for help from deep in his heart. With firm steps and taking the gaze of some, he approached Melissa and positioned himself in front of her. Once in front of her, he gently grabbed her cheeks in order to reassure the girl, who looked distressed. As Melissa still didn't react, he did the second thing that came to his mind, and went to give her a warm hug, while with his hands he caressed her head to calm her down. Calm down, Melissa. It's normal to fail, but you can stay there lamenting your failure, or you can get up and be better than yesterday and prove everyone wrong. I'm not very good at talking to people, but I can't stand by and watch someone fall apart just because others tell them they can't make their dreams come true. Look me in the eye. I trust you. So shut that jerk of a teacher's mouth and show him what you can do. Remember who you are. You are Melissa Shield. You don't have to follow in anyone else's footsteps. Just follow your own. Follow your own path, and believe me, you'll achieve great things. She felt something warm, something she had never felt for anyone before. It was something she couldn't describe, but it felt so good. She felt loved and appreciated by someone. Even if she didn't know the identity of that white-haired man, she thanked him. She thanked him. She really needed to hear those words. Melissa. She gave him a nice smile, although she still had a couple of tears coming out of her beautiful blue eyes. Thank you, Shigaraki-san. I really needed that. And for being my hero today. I'll give you this. She slowly approaches and deposits a soft kiss on his cheek. This action elicited a feminine squeal from his female companions, while his peers quietly cursed the white-haired man's fate. The boy liked that kiss very much. Izuku. She smiled back and replied, if I have to help you to earn a nice kiss from you, then I will always help you every day. Melissa was now super red, but she nodded her head, since she really didn't see it wrong to give the cute white-haired guy a kiss. This done, her look became serious, for it was time to prove her worth, for she would fulfill her dreams of being the future #1 heroine. She placed herself in the circle, where she had to throw the ball. She concentrated her gift and remembered the words of her new friend. Follow your own path, not the paths of others. With that, he got an idea of how to use his gift. He felt his quirk spread throughout his body, but he had to lower the percentage. He realized that at 100%, he could destroy his body. He closed his eyes to increase his concentration. From 80 he went down to 40%. From 40, he went down to 30%. From 30 he went down to 7%. Then his eyes snapped open. He felt amazing, and to his surprise, and everyone else's, he was expelling yellow rays all over his body. She felt her body a little numb, but she deduced that she had to get used to this way of using her gift in order to get used to it better. She looks at the ball and throws it into the air about 4 meters. She takes a leap, and with a big spin, and as hard as she could she kicked it. She created a big gust of air surprising her teammates, and sent the ball flying to a great height, until it was lost from everyone's sight. Aizawa gave a big smile, for in a short time her student had improved a lot. She saw her tablet and showed it to everyone. Aizawa, with a big smile, she spoke to her student 500 meters. Not bad, Shield. She wanted to shed more tears, but now of happiness. When she deactivated her gift, her body felt tired. She was about to fall, but at that her knight in shining armor appeared. The white-haired boy appeared and held her so that she wouldn't fall. He carried her slowly and carefully to a nearby bench, so that she could sit down to regain her energy. Aizawa, with a serious look, he speaks to his white-haired student. Well, it's your turn, Shigaraki. Come here and show what you're capable of, and leave Miss Shield alone, so she can rest on her own. Everyone's mind wondered how the boy's quirk would work, since the boy didn't give any information. Aizawa had a slight suspicion, but it didn't match the quirk's name. He thought he had a quirk similar to the boy's father's quirk. Izuku just looked at the ball, wondering what he should do, for indeed his gift was really unique. The boy looked at all his companions, and his gaze fell on his brown-haired companion. From what he remembered, her name was Uraraka Okoko. With an idea of what to do, he looked at the ball and simply with a flick of his finger, sent the ball at great speed into the sky. Everyone was surprised when just with a simple movement he sent the ball to who knows where. That's when his teacher showed the tablet and surprised everyone. Infinito. Everyone shouted in surprise, because it was the same thing their classmate Okoko Uraraka had done. Aizawa looked sternly at his new student, and then averted his gaze to the rest of his students. You go to the classroom, and you young Shigaraki, come with me immediately to the principal's office. Everyone obeyed the teacher's order. Izuku went with his teacher to the principal's office, but on the way he noticed that All Might was hiding and scowling at him. It was obvious that he hated it. But for Izuku, it was more entertaining to look at the sky and then yawn. What he didn't notice was that this action made All Might very angry, because in the hero's mind, that boy saw him as a joke and didn't see him as a threat. A predestined encounter. Theory Part 2. Aizawa, Present Mike, Nimuri, and All Might looked at Izuku with distrust and some concern. Aizawa, with his piercing gaze and impassive expression, he was the first to break the silence. Now tell us, young Shigaraki, why are you in this hero academy? Izuku gives a yawn and answers him, my mother and father forced me to be in this academy. They said I need to make friends my age. They even suggested finding a partner. All Might. She looked at him angrily. You are not worthy to be in this place. People like you should be locked up in prison. That statement shocked everyone, and slightly annoyed Izuku. Aizawa spoke calmly. Those who choose to follow the path of a hero must do so of their own free will and conviction. Are you sure this is what you want? Izuku pondered those words and answered with determination. I know my origins may not be the most normal, but that doesn't mean I can't do the right thing. I can't choose my parents, but I can choose what kind of person I want to be. And although I don't yet have the motivation that will drive my heroic path, I know I will find it in this new path I am charting as a hero. Nimuri approached Izuku with a beaming smile. I can understand that your situation may be difficult, Izuku. Always remember that a hero's true strength comes not only from his abilities, but from his heart and his motivations. If you're here, it means you have the desire to do good. And that's what matters. And I trust in you, and that you will do great things. Present Mike, with his characteristic energy, he said the following. Exactly. It doesn't matter where you come from, or who your parents are. What matters is where you are going. If you're willing to work hard and fight for what's right, then you have our full support. Izuku gave a smile of thanks. He bowed in respect, thanking them for their vote of confidence and proving that even the son of the greatest villain can become a force for good. The hallway was filled with students returning to their classrooms. Izuku Midoriya was walking with a determined pace, mentally going over the words of support from his teachers. He was engrossed in his thoughts when he suddenly collided with someone forcefully, almost causing them both to lose their balance. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize where I was walking, Izuku exclaimed, quickly looking up to see who the person he had collided with was. In front of him, standing with a firm and confident posture, was a young Haro, dressed in the characteristic rabbit costume. She was the well-known heroine Mirko. Her red eyes shone brightly, and her long white hair cascaded over her shoulders. Izuku was impressed as that woman conveyed an imposing presence, and he liked that. Don't worry, brat, Mirko replied with a playful smile, as he straightened up and picked up some papers he had dropped. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine, sorry again. I wasn't paying attention. Izuku apologized, feeling a little embarrassed by his distraction. Mirko threw his head back and burst out laughing, an infectious laugh that could be heard throughout the hallway. Ah, so you're a student here? Huh, no need to apologize again. Who knows, maybe fate itself wanted us to meet like this. Izuku nodded, feeling a little more relaxed at Mirko's kindness. Even though I don't believe in fate, I have to admit that I'm glad to meet you, Izuku admitted honestly. Mirko shot him an appreciative look before smiling broadly. Well then, let's go ahead and make this a great day, shall we? Yes, sounds perfect to me, Izuku replied with a soft smile, as the two continued down the hallway to their respective classes and went about chatting about their lives. That brief interaction with Mirko had left a lasting impression on Izuku. Although it had only been a fleeting encounter, the heroine's energy and determination had rubbed off on him. reminding him that, although he had not chosen this path on his own, he would do his best to become a hero. Mistrust in the classroom. Theory Part 3. 1 month had passed. The classroom was brimming with the energy of the students, each with their own set of skills and personalities. In one corner, Izuku Midoriya was immersed in the heroism training class, but his attention was divided. While his classmates practiced with enthusiasm, he seemed distant, as if he were in another world. Izuku, with his characteristic white hair and eyes full of concentration, remained silent as he watched his classmates around him. Some of his companions murmured among themselves, looking at him with a certain distrust. For contrary to what he thought, he was not well received in his course, or, rather, he was not well received in the UA. To many, Izuku was still the son of a villain, and so he was branded as a villain. It didn't help that he was reserved with people he didn't like. That's why there was currently a rift between him and his classmates. Meanwhile, in a corner of the classroom, 2 girls approached Izuku with friendly smiles. It was Melissa Shield and Mina Shido, who seemed to have developed a special connection with him over time. Izuku looked up, surprised by the friendly gesture. "Oh, hi, Melissa and Mina. I'm fine. Thanks for asking," replied serenely Mina, with her bright pink hair and outgoing personality. She nodded enthusiastically. "Great. Have you been practicing your moves lately? I'm sure you're improving a lot." Izuku nodded, grateful for her friend's interest. "Yeah. I've been working on various ways to use my quirk, but I'm running out of ideas every time, since I already use my gift to perfection." Some of the other students watched the interaction with some trepidation. In the case of the men, they didn't quite understand how Izuku had managed to establish such a close connection with Melissa and Mina. But they would keep an eye on him, as none of them trusted Izuku. The girls, on the other hand, got along well with the young Shigaraki, because he was always giving them advice on how to best use his gift. As the class progressed, Izuku immersed himself in practice, determined to prove his worth as a hero. Although he was still reserved with most of his classmates, he knew that he could always count on the support and friendship of Melissa and Mina, and the rest of his friends, who had accepted him as he was. And with his determination renewed, he set out to face the challenges ahead of him, knowing that he was not alone in his journey to become the best hero he could be. Inside Heroism Classroom, 1A Day. It had been 3 months since Izuku Shigaraki entered the Hero Academy, and although he still faced challenges, he had made significant progress. During that time, he had shown unwavering dedication to his physical training, and had worked tirelessly to further master his quirk, and hone his skills as a future hero. Over the course of those weeks, the dynamic in the classroom had subtly changed. While some of his classmates were still wary, others were beginning to stop looking at him if he were a villain and recognized his abilities and determination to be a hero. Izuku's relationship with Melissa and Mina had also grown, becoming a solid trio of friends who supported each other on their path to greatness as heroes. But some didn't like this. One of them was Kirishima, who was jealous to see his girlfriend with that villain. Another one of them was Katsuki Bakugo, as he was interested in Melissa, because he knew she had a connection with All Might, and in his twisted mind he believed that if he made her his bitch, he would be popular and get any girl. The bad thing was that Melissa wouldn't even give him the time of day. And that's why Katsuki felt a deep hatred for the white-haired guy. She clenched her fists in anger, because in every sparring match, she had never been able to defeat him. As the class progressed, Izuku found himself immersed in a rescue drill, working as a team with some of his classmates. Despite the difficulties, he was trying his best to coordinate with them, making the most of his individual skills to overcome any obstacles that came his way. Suddenly, an emergency situation arose in the drill, as the stupid Bakugo had used his gift in a reckless manner, causing a building to fall and land on her two best friends. Without hesitation, Izuku rushed forward. Using her quirk and her natural strength, she went to save her friends, who were about to be crushed by the building. "I'll save them," Izuku shouted loudly. She stood where her friends were and used her body as a shield, so that they would not be crushed. Izuku's muscles were swollen from the tremendous pressure she was exerting to support the weight of the building. Now the three of them were buried by an endless pile of rubble, and the only thing keeping them from being crushed to death was Izuku's willpower that to let her to friends die. "Mina," with tears in her eyes, she spoke. "Are we going to die? I still wanted to do many things. I wanted to spend more time with you and Melissa." Melissa was also crying and cursed herself internally for not having avoided escaping the building collapse. Izuku sketched a big smile, as best he could. "Don't worry. I swear we'll get out of this situation. You two are the best thing that ever happened to me." That cheered up the girls and made their hearts pound. A pleasant feeling began to come over them. Even in a situation like the one they were in, they were able to smile. The Will of a Hero, Theory Part 4. 1 hour had passed, and they were still under the rubble. Izuku's strength was beginning to falter. Smoke and dust filled the air as Izuku, Melissa, and Mina struggled to breathe under the weight of the rubble. The building that had once been a place where heroic practices took place now lay as a monster stood over them and sought to end their lives. Izuku, his muscles tense and sweaty, struggled against pain and despair. His hands and back were bleeding from the immense effort of trying to support the weight of the debris. But with each passing second, his strength was diminishing. Time was becoming their most dangerous enemy, as each passing minute diminished their chances of being rescued alive. "I can't take it anymore," Izuku cried out, his voice cracking with anguish and exhaustion. "I can't keep us alive much longer. I'm sorry, I can't anymore." Melissa, with tears in her eyes, she tries to reassure Izuku. "Don't give up, Izuku. I know you can do it. You are the strongest among us all." Mina, with her characteristic optimistic smile, she added, "Yes, Izuku, we know you can. Don't give up now." Izuku, inspired by her friend's words, took a deep breath and gathered all his remaining strength. With a grunt of determination, he pushed with all his might against the debris. She pushed her body to the limit, forcing herself to the maximum, ignoring the pain and exhaustion. The rubble began to move slowly, and the spark of determination in the eyes of the white-haired man. But finally, with one last monumental effort, Izuku managed to push the debris aside, just enough for the three of them to see the sunlight. With a piercing scream, he was able to throw the debris aside, leaving the three of them free. Exhausted and wounded, but alive, they hugged each other tightly, grateful to have survived the tragedy. "We made it," Melissa cried out, tears of relief running down her cheeks. Thank you so much, Izu. I'll never forget what you've done for us," Mina said, her voice full of gratitude. Izuku smiled faintly, feeling a deep gratification for having saved her friends. "We are a team. We always will be. And that will never change," she said cheerfully. They knew that with each other's support and the strength of their friendship, they knew they could face whatever challenge fate threw at them. It had been about 5 hours since the incident before they were finally able to get out of that accident. Everyone was worried. And as always, there were assholes who acted without thinking. "Damn you, Shigaraki. I almost lost my Melissa because of you." Kotsuki shouted that with hatred and lunged towards Izuku with the intention of shooting one of her explosions at her. Izuku's whole body was trembling with exhaustion. He forced himself to stop Kotsuki's first explosion, but he couldn't. That explosion sent him flying. That explosion sent him flying through the air to crash violently into the buildings. That action made something inside Melissa and Mina shake. Melissa had a look of absolute hatred on her face. "Fuck you, bastard. I don't know what got into you, but I'm not yours." She didn't stop with that. She activated her gift and approached Kotsuki. She landed a blow to Kotsuki's rib. The blow was so strong that it sent him into the air. She and Mina went towards Izuku, as they knew he was injured and tired. But before they arrived, a figure landed and crushed Izuku's battered body. Melissa. She covered her mouth in horror at what she saw. "What are you doing, All Might Sensei? You're stupid. Izu is hurt, Melissa." She clenched her fists in rage and glared at her uncle with hatred. She lunged towards her uncle. All Might had a smirk on his face for what he did to his enemy's son. What he did not expect was to see his niece approaching him at great speed. But her eyes showed no affection for him. Without being able to react, he received a forceful kick to the face, which sent him flying several feet away and knocked him out. As the days passed since the terrible accident in the building, Melissa and Mina began to notice something different in their feelings towards Izuku. For the warm and tender feeling they felt now was as if it had multiplied, and something new they began to feel. The closeness shared during the tragedy had further strengthened the bonds of friendship between them and Izuku. But for Melissa and Mina, those bonds were beginning to transform into something deeper. Something they were beginning to know what it was. They were beginning to fall in love with the serene, but kindly white-haired young man, who, though he was the son of a villain, was a kind-hearted person. Melissa, her heart beating faster every time she saw Izuku, found herself falling more and more in love with him. Every kind gesture, every look of concern, every conversation she had with Izuku only served to reinforce those feelings she had kept hidden for so long. Mina, however, was in a more complex situation. While she felt a growing attraction to Izuku, she was in a relationship with Kirishima. The thought of betraying that relationship filled her with guilt and confusion, for she loved Kirishima. She did not know what to do, or how to cope with these new feelings that arose inside her. Izuku, on the other hand, immersed in his own world of duties as a hero in training, could hardly notice the changes in the dynamic between him and his friends. Izuku, though intelligent in various situations, was very imbecilic in human relations, as his childhood was spent only in training. Even when his mother challenged him, or rather challenged his father, for encouraging him to only train. All this led Izuku to have zero social contact, and not to notice the behavior of his friends. Well, he never experienced that in the past. They were grateful for his friendship and support in difficult times, but he was oblivious to the whirlwind of emotions stirring in their hearts. Meanwhile, Melissa and Mina struggled internally with their mixed feelings. Melissa was pondering whether she should confess to Izuku how she felt, while Mina was torn between loyalty to Kirishima and a growing attraction to her friend. The atmosphere between the three of them was becoming increasingly tense and charged with unspoken emotions. Every glance, every interaction, was full of hidden meanings and unspoken words. In the midst of this emotional turmoil, fate had in store for them new trials and challenges that would test not only their courage as heroes, but also the strength of their friendship and the bonds of their newly formed feelings. We can see our white-haired protagonist. He was in the Gamma field and was facing an army of robots. With nimble movements, he was dodging the robots, and with impeccable strength he was hitting back and smashing the robots. A thought crossed his mind. It's either me, or the girls are acting more timid lately. His thought stopped as he realized something. A metal fist was about to smash into his face. He had a look of disinterest on his face. This is going to hurt. Those were his thoughts. The blow was unavoidable, leaving him with a nasty black eye and knocking him unconscious. Melissa confesses, and Mina faces a harsh reality. Theory Part 5. After several days of internal struggle, Melissa finally plucked up her courage and was determined to tell Izuku how she felt. In a quiet moment, when they were alone, Melissa grabbed Izuku's hand and looked into his eyes with determination. That action surprised him, but he didn't say anything. He just waited for what his friend has to tell him. For Melissa's expression was one of happiness and fear, and he didn't know why. "Melissa," with determination she spoke, "there is something I have to tell you." Melissa began, feeling her heart pounding in her chest. "For a long time now, I have felt something more than friendship towards you. I realized it during that terrible incident in the building, when you were willing to give everything for us. I realized how much you mean to me, and well, I think I'm in love with you." Melissa had finally confessed and had her eyes closed. For what she feared most was not rejection, but she feared it would ruin their friendship. Izuku was silent for a moment, processing Melissa's words. Her eyes reflected surprise, but also a deep appreciation for his bravery in confessing his feelings. He was oblivious to this situation, but he gave a warm smile to his friend, as he currently didn't know what to do, so he would be honest. "Izuku," he stroked his friend's cheeks, and began to speak in a kind voice. "Melissa, you are an amazing person, and a wonderful friend. I had no idea you felt that way about me, but I want you to know that your friendship means a lot to me." I don't know what to say. Despite Izuku's response, Melissa felt a relief in her heart for confessing her feelings, even if they were not reciprocated in the way she would have wished. She knew she had to respect Izuku's feelings and accept whatever the future had in store for them. Though she let out a slight chuckle when she noticed that her friend had tiny blushes on his face, that gave him hope that his feelings would be reciprocated by Izuku. Meanwhile, from a distance, Mina silently watched the conversation between Izuku and Melissa, while a part of her longed to express her own feelings. The fear of losing Izuku's friendship and the fear of losing her relationship with Kirishima kept her quiet, and that burdened the pink-skinned young woman, as she didn't know what to do with her own feelings. Tears began to flow from her, for this situation was hard to bear. A medida que pasaban los días, Mina se esforzaba por encontrar la manera de manejar sus emociones, sin poner en peligro su amistad con Izuku y su relación con Kirishima. Guardaba sus sentimientos en lo más profundo de su corazón, con la esperanza de encontrar la fuerza y la claridad necesarias para enfrentarse a los cuando llegara el momento adecuado. El triángulo de emociones no expresadas entre Izuku, Melissa y Mina seguía presente, pero su amistad seguía siendo unas de las que les servía de apoyo y compañía en medio de las tormentas emocionales a las que se enfrentaban juntos. Time jump. Several days later, Mina had been sensing a growing distance between her and Kirishima in the past few weeks. She wanted to spend time with him, she needed a support to hold on to. And when she wanted to spend time with Kirishima, something would happen, and he would say that he couldn't. And that hurt Mina's heart. Dates had become rare, and he seemed to be increasingly distant, and the love Kirishima showed her was now almost nil. Despite her attempts to broach the subject, Kirishima would always justify it with vague or evasive excuses. One day, while at the mall with Izuku and Melissa, in an attempt to distract herself from her worries and lighten her mood, Mina noticed something that made her heart sink in her chest. In the crowd, she saw her boyfriend Kirishima kissing another girl, and reality hit her like a punch in the stomach. Her high school boyfriend was cheating on her. The vision left her paralyzed, unable to process what she was seeing. Pain and betrayal intertwined in her fragile heart as tears filled her eyes. She was overwhelmed by a mixture of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion. Only one question hovered in her head: why did he cheat on me? Izuku and Melissa instantly noticed Mina's mood change and rushed to reassure her, with eyes full of worrying. Izuku asked her what was wrong, but Mina could barely articulate a word amid seemingly endless sobs. Melissa, with a comforting touch, she touches Mina's shoulder. Calm down, Mina. Everything is going to be alright. Tell us what is happening to you, so we can help you. Mina, still sobbing, pointed with her trembling hand in a direction. Melissa looked in the direction she was pointing. instantly realizing what had happened. She was furious and wanted to go hit Kirishima. But now the most important thing was to comfort Mina. Mina, heartbroken and confidence shattered, realized that the time had come to face the truth about her relationship with Kirishima and put an end to it. Although it hurt her deeply, she knew she had to face reality and put an end to a relationship of many years, as it would not be healthy to be in a charade and pretend that everything is fine. With the pain of the betrayal still fresh in her heart, Mina clung to the strength of her friendship with Izuku and Melissa, for they were the only ones she had to overcome this harsh reality. Although the road to healing would be long and difficult, she knew that with the support of her friends, she would find the strength to move forward and build a better future. And who knows, in time she might eventually confess how she felt about Izuku. Several days had passed and Mina confronted Kirishima, ending their relationship. Any word of remorse or apology could erase the pain in her heart. Izuku and Melissa, after talking about how they felt about each other, decided to give each other a chance to be more than just friends and started dating. Their connection grew stronger with every moment they shared. Melissa couldn't be happier. On Izuku's part, he liked to see his partner Melissa happy. But that didn't mean that they put Mina aside, since Izuku considered them both very important in his life. However, Mina was faced with mixed feelings. While she wanted to see her friends happy and supported their relationship, she couldn't help but feel a pang of pain at seeing them together. She was jealous, but tried to hide her feelings with a fake smile. Although sometimes she found it hard to ignore the emptiness in her heart. And many times, she would like to be in her friend Melissa's situation and be Izuku's girlfriend. Izuku and Melissa, aware of Mina's pain from the betrayal and breakup with Kirishima, included her in their outings and activities as much as they could. They wanted Mina to feel a part of their happiness and to know that they would always be there for her. No matter what happened, during these outings, Mina would find comfort in the pleasant company of her friends. Izuku and Melissa were doing their best to make Mina smile. Now the three of them were at a fair and played on all the rides. Mina saw a photo booth, and that made her a lot happier. Melissa. She took Izuku and Melissa's hand and said to them, "Look guys, let's go to that booth." Mina dragged the two of them. Izuku had a bead of sweat and Melissa a nervous smile. "Say cheese." That's what Mina said. Cheese was what the three of them said. While taking endless pictures of each other, the girls told Izuku to pick up the photos. The two went ahead to continue enjoying the games that were at the fair. Izuku reflected with himself and gave a smile, and a tear escaped him. "I like this life." He looked up at the sky. "I like this life better than my monotonous life at home, when I only trained to be strong." On the other side we met Mina. Although the pain of her broken heart did not disappear overnight, the love and friendship she shared with her friends helped her to heal little by little. Over time, Mina began to assimilate that things between her and Kirishima were over. And that was okay. Although the road to healing was still difficult, she knew she had the love and support of her friends to guide her. And that made her fragile heart glad. Amid shared laughter, deep conversations and comforting hugs, Izuku, Melissa and Mina had a good time, and would remember these moments for the rest of their lives. Mina confesses. Theory Part 6. Mina was alone in a gym near her home. She was throwing punch at a punching bag. She had a look of frustration and anger. She couldn't stand to be quiet anymore. She didn't decide who to fall in love with. It just happened, and she went ahead accepting that she was in love with her friend Izuku. But she didn't want to meddle in her relationship with Melissa. They were her two special people, and she couldn't bear to have them walk away from her. There was more pounding, until she couldn't take it anymore and fell to the ground sobbing. It was then that a person appeared, a brunette with red eyes and a calm smile. "I don't know what you're going through, girl. But if you want to take out your anger, why don't you fight with me? She accepted, and the two were in the ring. The first blow was given by Mina. How weak, said Mirko. Mina got angry and threw more blows. Mirko dodged or defended himself easily. You're weak. Dodge another blow. Slow. Dodge another blow. You lack conviction. Dodge another blow. You're pathetic. You're pathetic. Arg, Mina screamed in rage, and the adrenaline made her go faster, and she punched Mirko in the face, which knocked her to the ground sitting up. Melissa, Mirko rubbed his cheek and had a big smile on his face. Her hair that was real punch. Pink-haired girl. Mina gasped, but smiled. Thank you very much. I think I needed to distress. They continued talking and Mina told him a bit about her situation. Although she didn't mention any names, Mirko remained thoughtful and gave her a smile. Don't give up. It's true that if you confess, things will never go back to the way they were. But if your friendship is damaged by something so simple, then you weren't true friends. Having said this, he gets up and starts to leave the place. Mirko turns his gaze and says, someday I will need your help. I like someone too. And as far as I know, he has a partner too. ... I don't know him very well, but my heart races when I think of him. When I see him, I won't waste time and tell him how I feel. Having said this, he left. And Mina's resolve to confess her feelings strengthened, and now she knew what she had to do. Gathering all her courage, Mina sought a moment alone with Izuku and Melissa. With her chest pounding rapidly, she finally plucked up her courage and confessed her deepest feelings to them. Mina, she had her eyes watering and spoke. Izuku, Melissa. There's something I have to tell you, Mina began. Her voice trembling, but full of determination. For a long time I've kept this secret, but I can't anymore. Izuku, I love you. In a way that goes beyond friendship. I love you. Izuku and Melissa looked at each other in surprise. But Mina continued before they could respond. I know you two are together now, and I don't want to cause trouble. I just needed you to know, because I can't keep pretending any longer that I don't feel anything, Mina said. Feeling a lump in her throat, tears began to flow. Tears that reflected many things. Joy at coming clean, fear of being rejected, and worse, that her friends would hate her. There was a moment of tense silence as Izuku and Melissa processed Mina's words. Finally, Melissa stepped forward and gently took Mina's hand, giving her a genuine smile. Mina, thank you for trusting us with your feelings, and I appreciate you being honest with me and Izu. Your friendship means everything to us, and we don't want to lose you, Melissa said sincerely. As the two gave each other a tight hug, and tears came out of the two friends. Izuku nodded earnestly. Mina, you are an amazing friend, and will always be. Your honesty means a lot to me, and no matter what happens, we will always be here for you. I will always be here for you, and nothing and no one can change that. Mina's heart was filled with gratitude and relief as she heard Melissa and Izuku's words. Even if her feelings weren't reciprocated as she had hoped, knowing that they still had their friendship was a comfort that was priceless, and for the moment it was more than enough to make her happy. With a shared embrace, the three sealed their commitment to keep their friendship strong, no matter what challenges or unrequited feelings might come up along the way. Together, they knew they could overcome any obstacle and move forward, stronger and more united than ever. For the three of them had a special bond. The son of villain number 1. He was thankful that his parents forced him to come to O, for he would have missed out on this warm feeling he felt in his chest. Melissa and Izuku's decision. Theory Part 7. After Mina's honest confession, and Izuku and Melissa's understanding response, the dynamic between the three friends took an unexpected turn, for their friendship strengthened, and they were now spending more time together. Mina was sincerely grateful that Izuku and Melissa did not withdraw from her life. On the contrary, they were now closer. It could only get better if somehow Izuku reciprocated her feelings. Izuku and Melissa. after a long conversation full of thoughtfulness and affection, came to a decision, which was that they would accept Mina into their relationship. Melissa acknowledged Mina's bravery and honesty in expressing her feelings, for she knew that doing so was not easy, and even more so with the fear of losing their friendship, and she respected that. They both understood that Mina also deserved the chance to be happy. They knew that their friendship was solid, and that their relationship could withstand any challenge, even if there was someone else. Melissa trusted Mina, so she wouldn't mind sharing Izuku. Now all that was left was how to tell Mina. Melissa had a smile on her face with a plan in mind and told Izuku, who was surprised, but also gave a small smile, because she also thought it was a good idea. It was Monday, and almost all the students were already in class. The only ones that were missing were Izuku and Melissa. Mina was humming a nice song, despite not being accepted by Izuku. She was very happy that the three of them were still together, and that was more than enough for her. What neither she or anyone else in the room would have expected was for the following to happen. Izuku and Melissa walked into the classroom, but what they did took everyone by surprise. Izuku momentarily separated from Melissa and walked straight to where Mina was. She had a smile on her face and greeted him as usual. "Hi Izu, how have you been?" Izuku, with his serene look, but with a slight smile, he replied, "Hello my sweet flower, I've been well." Mina was surprised for a moment at that, but then her eyes widened when Izuku came over and gave her a warm kiss. At first she was surprised, then a couple of tears came out of her, and she could see out of the corner of her eye that Melissa had a wide smile for her. Did that mean what she was thinking? With nothing to lose, she wrapped her arms around Izuku's neck and deepened the kiss further. At that moment, she was the happiest girl in the world. After a few minutes they separated from the embrace, but the smile that Mina had, no one in the world could take it off. Izuku, he was happy to see Mina happy, and what he said next made the girl even happier. "It's sudden, but, Mina Shido, you want to be my girlfriend?" Kirishima shouted with great hatred. "I flatly refuse. I don't want to see my girlfriend with a dirty villain who at any moment can stab us in the back." That completely damaged the romantic atmosphere, and Mina frowned, for she had made it very clear that she was no longer in a relationship with the one she once loved. She was going to yell at him and retort why he was talking such a big nonsense, but Izuku touched and caressed her cheek, and that calmed her down. "Izuku," he gave her a soft smile and said to her, "Easy, my beautiful pink flower. I'll take care of this jerk." Izuku slowly approached Kirishima. He was not intimidated by the hateful look he was giving her. "Tell me Kirishima, what's wrong with you? You and Mina already put an end to your courtship, and if I remember you, it was because of you. Have you forgotten?" Kirishima, he clenched his hands tightly and showed his teeth from the anger he felt. He looked like a lunatic. "And whose fault do you think it is?" "It was the fault of my stupid girlfriend, who got together with a dirty villain. Did he think I was going to tolerate that? No, I couldn't tolerate it. So I went with someone else. And what's the fucking problem here? It wasn't my fault. It was that bitch's and yours. It's all your fucking fault, you dirty society rat." That hurt Mina deeply, for she never thought that the one she once loved would speak to her in such a nasty way. She knew that Izuku did not like her, but she did not know how deep was the hatred she felt for her white-haired friend. Tears started to flow from the pink girl's eyes. Melissa realized and hugged her. "Calm down, Mina-chan. It's not your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. This is all the fault of that jerk Kirishima." Izuku watched that, and his heartbeat began to increase. A hatred and a desire to slaughter Kirishima invaded his mind. He was going to beat the crap out of that jerk, but Mina's sobs brought him back to his senses. "Izuku." On a guilty face he said to himself, "This day should be special and Mina is the one who should be smiling and not crying. I'm a complete idiot. Izuku turned around and went to Melissa and Mina and hugged them. Forgive me and forgive me, Mina. For a moment I got carried away by my anger. But today is your day. Takes Mina's cheeks in a soft way and gives her a sweet kiss on her mouth. Let's get out of here. Today is your day and let's celebrate it in style. At that, Mina smiles back at him and simply nods. Having said that, Izuku took his two girlfriends by the hand and led them out of there, because today they were going to go to all the places that made Mina happy. Besides, they already had Principal Nezu's permission, so they weren't going to get into trouble. With a heart full of gratitude and joy, Mina accepted her friend's offer with excitement. She felt immense love for the two of them, and knowing that they could share their happiness together filled her with happiness. They supported each other all the way, sharing laughter, tears and unforgettable moments. Even in the presence of jerks like Kirishima, or Kotsuki, or All Might himself, who was not at all happy that his successor is with the son of the person he hated the most. Together, they found happiness in the connivance of their unique bond and in the certainty that they were destined to walk the path of life together. Izuku, the one who once wanted to live his life alone, now longed to spend more time with his girlfriends as they filled a void he himself did not know he had. Beating the crap out of assholes. Theory Part 8. The formalization of the relationship between Izuku, Melissa and Mina marked a new chapter in their lives, but it also brought with it several unexpected challenges. While the three of them lived their lives filled with their love for each other, they did not realize that Kirishima was filled with anger and jealousy as he understood why Mina was in that relationship. Kirishima, still hurting from the breakup with Mina and blinded by frustration and bruised ego, could not accept Mina's new relationship with the man he hated the most. Filled with rage and maddened, he challenged Izuku to a match, being sure that if he defeated his opponent, Mina would return to his arms. To his misfortune, Izuku still wanted to smash his face in, and he wouldn't miss the chance to smash the face of the asshole who made his girlfriend cry. After class, Heroic Rescue Gamma Center, 4 p.m. The tension between Kirishima and Izuku was noticeable. The two found themselves in a secluded place, ready to face each other in a duel of wills and skills. Although Izuku usually used to avoid unnecessary fights, but this time was different because he had to defend his girlfriend from the jerk in front of him who was screaming for a beating. And Izuku was going to give him that beating and make sure he never forgot her. Melissa made a fighting pose. I swear you will regret taking Mina away from me. So get ready, because you're not getting out of this place in one piece. Melissa flashed a smile. Mentally she said to herself, I forgot that no one here really knows how my gift works. So I'm going to enjoy this fight like you can't imagine. Description of Izuku's gift. Contra Quirk. A quirk that gives the user the ability to evolve his body and adapt to any quirk he sees with his gaze. This evolution is permanent. I will give an example. In the ball throwing test, Izuku looked at Yuraraka Okoko, and in seconds his body evolved to withstand if Okoko ever used her gift against him, giving Izuku the ability to control his own gravity and control the gravity of those objects, less heavy than his own body. But, to Kirishima's misfortune, he didn't know that. And that's why he never expected the beating he would get. Kirishima was the first one to jump in. At great speed, he stiffened his body as much as he could. Then he approached Izuku and punched him in the face. He had an arrogant smile, thinking that he had hurt the white-haired bastard. But when he pulled his hands away he was surprised. He didn't have any wounds. Instead, his arms had a large crack in them, as he had fractured his entire wrist where he had struck the blow. Ararog. He let out a cry of pain. But Izuku gave him no respite and connected a kick to his belly that sent Kirishima flying several meters away. Kirishima pulled himself together, returned to his fighting stance and charged again. But to his misfortune, every punch, every kick, Every headbutt, every tackle, made his body crack more and more. Suddenly, he couldn't take it anymore. His whole body ached, for he had been hurt several times. Izuku looked at him in a serious way. "Get up, coward. You think you're such a man, and you're not even capable of making yourself sweat a single drop." Kirishima, she glared at him with hatred and stood up. At a slow pace he approached, but he didn't expect Izuku to attack this time. She punched him in the face, sending him to the ground. Izuku looked at him in annoyance. "Get up, you trash." Kirishima got up, but was knocked to the ground again, and so on until 10 minutes passed where the same scene was repeated. Kirishima grunted in pain. Izuku had hit him in several places, and he was in excruciating pain. An alarm sounded from his phone. Izuku smiled, and out of the big doors came his girlfriends. Izuku grabbed him by the hair, and ignored Kirishima's cries of pain, and dragged him towards his girlfriends. Kirishima saw Mina's eyes, and she just looked at him with hatred. He wanted to talk to her, but before he tried to say anything, Izuku slammed him to the ground. Izuku looked at him in annoyance and spoke to him with annoyance. "Don't talk trash if you haven't been told to talk. You understand me?" Kirishima, with tears of pain and humiliation, nodded. For now he regretted it, and just wanted to go home and hide in his bed, where he could be safe. Kotsuki also did the same stupid thing as Kirishima, but the idiot went so far that he touched Melissa's ass, and let's just say that Izuku this time wasn't so merciful. The two looked at each other, one with an arrogant look, and the other wanting to slaughter the bastard who had made a pass at his girlfriend. Izuku didn't wait for Kotsuki to take a step. He approached him at high speed and punched him in the nose. The blow and the broken nose made Kotsuki scream, "Arag, bastard, I'll finish you off, and then I'll take Melissa to my house and make her mine." That infuriated the young Shigaraki. Izuku approached and grabbed him by the collar. Kotsuki wanted to scream, but with his free hand, he gave him several blows that deformed the face of the blonde bombshell. Then he threw him to the ground as if he were garbage. "Izuku, I look at a defeated Kotsuki on the ground. This is not enough. This bastard deserves to suffer more." Izuku approached Kotsuki's dejected body. He picked up his cell phone and started broadcasting live. "Listen up, everyone. If you've ever been bullied by this asshole named Kotsuki or any similar shit, today will be the day he pays for being an asshole." Izuku started dragging Kotsuki and took him to the men's room of his class. Kotsuki, as best he could, growled in annoyance. "What do you think you're doing, you jerk?" Izuku. He looked at Kotsuki with irritation. As you can observe, this jerk, even in this situation, is a complete idiot. Kotsuki was about to say something, but to the surprise of him and the people watching the live video, Kotsuki's head was put in the toilet. A whole hour passed in which Kotsuki was humiliated, and the live broadcast went viral. A lot of people liked that they humiliated the blonde guy. Kotsuki ended up locked in the bathroom, and stayed like that for a whole day. Well, Izuku left and locked the door and left without looking back. After the bathroom incident, he spent the rest of the afternoon with Mina and Melissa, and they had a great time. But his problems didn't end there. He continued with the other jerk who didn't agree with Melissa being with Offo's son. When they were in a training session, the pair of three were interrupted by hero number 1. He expressed his disapproval immediately and angrily. For him, the idea of his protégé, Melissa, having a relationship with Offo's son was unacceptable in his eyes. It was unacceptable in his eyes. Tears were coming to Melissa's eyes. She did not want to be separated from her beloved Izuku. She loved him dearly, but she also didn't want to damage her relationship with her uncle Toshinori. Izuku, determined to defend his love for Melissa and Mina, confronted All Might. However, the conversation soon became heated, and the words turned to shouting as the two expressed their views. Mina hugged her friend Melissa, while stroking her head to calm her down. Amidst the heat of the moment, All Might, unable to contain his anger, hit Izuku with all his might, shocking everyone present, and scaring Melissa and Mina, for that blow sent Izuku flying several meters away. However, Izuku, instead of flinching, got up from the ground and started back to where All Might was. He stood his ground and unhesitatingly struck back. Izuku felt a mixture of fury, but also fear of losing Melissa. He would fight with all his might for Melissa and Mina to be with him no matter what fate would do to separate them. What began as a verbal argument quickly escalated into a physical confrontation, with the two heroes exchanging blows in a brutally violent battle. The battle escalated, and several students and teachers came to the scene, and were shocked to find the number one hero fighting a student. Their battle culminated with a shout from Izuku, ending the battle in which Izuku won, as his evolution quirk helped him to defeat the symbol of peace, as well as the determination to believe in the love he shared with Melissa and Mina. Izuku, victorious, he stared at All Might. "I'm sorry, All Might," Izuku said, his voice full of mixed feelings, "but I can't let anyone tell me who I can be with, for me. Melissa and Mina are important in my life, and I'm not going to give them up just because you see me as unworthy." All Might, though defeated on the ground, looked at Izuku with a mixture of anger and awe. "Hehe, you're a brave and stubborn young man. I hate to say it, but you remind me of myself in my younger years. I will no longer stand in the way of your relationship with my niece and young Mina. Just protect them." Melissa ran and hugged her uncle first with tears in her eyes. "You're a Boka, uncle. Trust me more. If I decided to be with Izuku and it's because he's a good person." Then Melissa and Mina went to her boyfriend, who was injured in the battle, and took him to the infirmary. Now with one obstacle overcome, they looked forward to a bright future, where with each other's support, they knew they could overcome any obstacle. New adventures will live our beautiful couple of three, but they will be other stories, and who knows, a cute bunny heroine might join in their lives. End of story. Question of the day today. Do you want this story to have part 2? Every Sunday, I will take some time to read the comments. I am currently editing the summary of part 2 of the manga that is uploaded to the YouTube channel. If there is no problem, it will be uploaded by the weekend. I know it may sound annoying, but you help me a lot by liking and subscribing to the channel. To finish the video, I'll take a break next week, and possibly I won't upload anything. Or if I do upload something, it will be something short.